Global Fair. We are really looking forward to this day together with you. And we're going to start this first session with a little bit of what you can expect of these 2 days. The main theme for the day as such is, suitably enough, what's next. It will be a full day of webinars and insights. You can see some of the highlights over at the right side of this slide. And there are also a couple of more webinars. We're truly excited about this, and both will give you some insights on specific companies, what they think and what they look for when they recruit. And there are some around assessment tests and personal traits, what tools the companies are using, but also what they are looking for. And there is also a special session around industry versus consultancy thinking, where we got a really senior person who's been both working very long in Boston Consulting Group, but also as an investment professional in Orkla. So different things on the agenda today. There will also be an opportunity to check out more than 1,000 global career opportunities that are active and that we have screened and curated for you. And there is also opportunity to chat live with recruiters at some of the booths. So before we dive into this, I thought I'm just going to very quickly go through what Hired the Global Career Service is, as we are the ones who are organizing this global fair. Just a couple of key points. We started Hired back actually in 2015, so we've been doing this now for a decade. And we started it with a slogan, helping students get awesome jobs globally. And I think that still stands today, 10 years later. That's what we are working for. And we are a dedicated team that are specialized in serving students and schools with international job opportunities and companies and with talent. We have a custom-built flexible platform, so we are very tech-oriented. And this is this platform that we built, where one part of that platform is something we are using and leveraging in today's global fair. So on the Hired platform, you find both tools to support you in your search for new jobs. We currently list more than 20,000 jobs annually and have a very global focus, and also focusing on many of the largest brands and companies in the world that we think could be a good starting point for you guys. So, but yeah, and before we move over to this, the theme of the first session, we just have more of a wish from our side, and then that is that we hope that you think about Hired the Global Career Service Hub when you graduate and find your new next job, and that you reach out and engage with us and help us to connect with your new employer. Because that is what we need in order to keep growing and support students in a better way also going forward. So think of us and reach out to us. So, but with that, we will move over to what's next. And to help us to kick this off on the right foot, we have invited 2 former students that have been engaged in Hired some years back and had moved over to interesting careers, both of them with a very international touch, I would say. And they are both going to share some thoughts on what they have been thinking about when chasing their what's next, and hoping to give you some tips and perspectives for your journeys. So the first one is Aray. Aray was born in Kazakhstan, pursued her international perspectives and insights from very early on in her career. She went to Korea for her bachelor degree at Solbridge, then to Norway for a dual degree program at BI, and then to Aston Business School in the UK for her exchange. She had a very exciting career, holding numerous positions, and all of them have in common that they have been leveraging her international experience and engagement, and now moving in the direction of specializing in ESG-related topics. So welcome, Aray.
Hello. Thank you.
And then the second one is Huan. She will get a similar slide that Aray has in for an introduction in just a couple of minutes. But Huan Chen is Vice President and Head of Sales and Marketing Operations at Rystad Energy, overseeing global commercial operations to enhance efficiency, data-driven decision-making, and cross-functional alignment. She holds a master from BI Norwegian Business Schools and a master also for the University of Liverpool. So welcome, Huan.
Thank you.
So, but we will start out with Aray, and we have asked you to prepare some thoughts on a couple of key topics. We have asked you to prepare some thoughts on two main things that what should I be thinking about, or why should I be thinking about an international career? So that's number one. And then what are your thoughts and suggestions to the things I can do now in order to be better prepared and more relevant for an international career? So, but with that, I'll leave the word over to you.
Thank you so much, Gustav. It's a great pleasure to be in this platform of higher ed. After so many years since I have graduated and came back to Kazakhstan from Norway. Speaking of my story and about what started from the age of 17, when a very young girl who has graduated from a high school boarded her first flight alone, completely alone, from Kazakhstan to South Korea. And at that time, I didn't know what to expect. I basically had 2 suitcases up with a lot of clothes, and then the other one with a lot of ambition and a lot of questions and concerns that I had at that point in time. And that experience, it was, I would say, my biggest international journey that has come from South Korea. As Gustav has mentioned, I also got the opportunity through the dual degree program to then study in Norway, through the Erasmus exchange to do my 1 semester in the UK, and eventually I, after 4 years of my bachelor, came back to Kazakhstan and I began building my career in ESG. And ESG is the environmental social governance, also known as sustainable development, and I had experience working with both international and local companies and various global frameworks. So this is the journey that has started, and today passed, and I'm now also involved with the World Economic Forum, the OECD, have activities with the UN, and building various programs both locally and internationally, leading various projects, representing my country in the global agenda as well. And what I know for sure is that none of that would have happened without saying yes to opportunities that felt uncertain but exciting. And with that, I would like to pass over to the next slide, where I have put some of the bullet points that I believe are responding to the question that Gustav has asked. So why should I consider pursuing an international career? So let's break it down using what has been put on the slide, and I'll be also giving a little bit of a context and the story behind each of the points. So when I say unlock broader perspectives and global, it's really around how global problems, which may seem at some point in time not achievable, very far away from us, in fact, they're with us, and they have all local effect. All of them have. And they do demand global thinking as well, because Kazakhstan is a Central Asian country, and what I know for sure is that everything has to align with the global frameworks. So working in Kazakhstan, the frameworks have to align with Europe, investor expectations have to align with the Asian countries, and sustainable development have to align with the global UN. Really requires the ability to zoom out and to connect with the local realities and provided the global systems. The second one is really around building resilience and adaptability across cultural contexts. And living in almost 3 countries, coming back to my own country, a lot of cultural shocks in my life, and it really pushes you beyond the comfort zone. And it's really about the language, the culture, even how the meetings are run. Studying in Norway, I was expected to speak up, to be a bit more bold. Sometimes even challenge professors, even calling professor by so different from me, coming from an Asian country and also studying in South Korea, where the language itself have 4 different levels of respect. It has been completely different, but what I learned for sure is to adapt. And with the ability and the skill set that I have gained I've also gained a lot of confidence. And I do believe that this is something that should be in consideration, speaking of the international career. And the third one is really around expanding Korean mentorship networks, because various platforms that I have shared about the World Economic Forum, specifically Global Shapers Community, the OECD mentorship program that I'm also part of, it really expands the outreach. And honestly, if at some point in time some opportunities felt to me like something very far away, not achievable, once I have become active on LinkedIn, once I have been even starting with at least one opportunity, everything else just came along with that. And I ended up having a speaking opportunity during the Davos in the World Economic Forum this January. And this simply drops down to the idea of never underestimating the reach of the ideas that each of you can have. And tackling global issues that I have mentioned earlier as well, all the global issues that we have really resonate with everything that we have locally as well. And Asia are pretty much similar in Brazil, Mexico, Australia, or anywhere else in the world. And learning how to lead with empathy and inclusivity, because you work in various spaces, and there is so much more to learn from everyone else, because although it may seem that the cultures and languages are different, in the end of the day, it's really about the people, their hearts, their values, and it really drops down to that. With that, I would like to go to the next slide and give you a bit more on the steps as to how you can better prepare yourself to. It wasn't for me. It wasn't a one-day thing. It wasn't an overnight, because people ask me, where do I start? And some might think that is just a job offer abroad, or years of experience, or some other thing. Sometimes it's really it's really about preparing to your international career from where you are now. And with that, I would like to give you 5 practical steps that I have when I was preparing to the speaking. What are the steps that anyone, anywhere, sitting in any country can actually take to make this happen? And I do believe that right now, each person who is listening today, and I'm greeting you all from Kazakhstan, and you can do is you can get involved in local initiatives with international relevance, because for example, I have co-led education initiative in Kazakhstan, and we have ended up being featured in the Global Shapers community by World Economic Forum. And when you think globally, even local actions can gain international weight. And this is exactly what I have been doing in the past year specifically, and I do believe it is possible. Second of all, I would say that applying for global programs, scholarship, and virtual exchanges, even things that are happening online, because in the end of the day, they expand the network and they come with opportunities, maybe not right now, but definitely later on. Third is building a strong and authentic digital presence. We live in such a social world. We all do virtually. We get along with. In my case, LinkedIn has been changing my life a lot. I've been sharing about the ESG projects, the gender research that I have done, And I ended up being invited to speak at Davos just because I've been sharing about my work, saying what I do. And sometimes I don't want to be showing off, or I don't want to be saying too much, but people can only know about what you do by seeing what you do. And social media really works that way. And I would like to wrap up this actions with really staying curious, asking questions, really being bold. And as a concluding thought, I would say that purpose really shape your career decisions, and staying true to yourself is really critical, because there are so many things that are going on, and sometimes you get so sometimes I get too excited, sometimes I get FOMO, but it's really about staying true to who you are. And what's next is it shouldn't be a fixed destination. It really can be a question or a cause or a calling. And that's exactly how my journey has begun. And I do believe more to come. And my wish for everyone who's listening today would be, yeah, what's next is it should be a calling, a question, and not the answer necessarily. And I wish to stay in touch with all of you. I would love to exchange, and I'm also available on LinkedIn. And again, thank you for having me today.
Super. Thank you, Aray. I must say that was really inspiring. So I still have some years left to work, so maybe I will go out and do even more international endeavors. But truly, and I think you touched upon so many important things when it comes to learnings and differences and getting perspectives. And I think by going out to get some of these international experiences early, you really start by getting those perspectives, understanding different cultures, and gaining confidence. I think one of the things I know that also by all of this very early on is an advantage. And I think the earlier you do that in a career, the more it kind of builds your ability to adopt, gain confidence, and also get the broader perspective that will help you throughout your entire career. So thank you. Really interesting. Good, and even also a very concrete list, which I think is possible for all of us to relate to and actually do something with. So thank you. So then, with that, as also written here, remember that you can write some questions if you have some questions for me or some of the speakers also in the chat, and we will try to fit that into the session as such. But then we will move over to Juan. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Gustav.
So we have
Hello,
also
everyone.
yeah, and we have also asked you to prepare some thoughts on a couple of key topics. And I'll just read them now, and then you can dive into the part of going through them and your thoughts around it. But what are kind of the building blocks? What should one think about on your journey to what's my next? If it's not really clear. If you don't really know, this is exactly what I would like to do. I would like to work with finance in London. Then it's pretty clear in terms of the direction as such. But if it's a little bit more unclear, like it was for myself when I was studying, and also question number 2 is headline from classroom to careers. What are your thoughts on the difference between studying and work life? Which is also, I think, relevant for many of the participants today. So, but with that, I leave the word over to you.
Thank you so much, Gustav, and great questions. Actually, I want to first say thank you for inviting me here. I'm quite excited to connect with the talented students from the EFMD network. I'm also excited not only because I used to be a student actively using the Hired platform, but also because I was a former employee at the Hired. So quite relevant platform today, and quite a relevant stage for me to talk about the stories. First question, as Gustav asked, what if you don't have a clear idea about your next step? I personally feel it's very common, completely normal if you don't know what your next is. But I think the point is to be willing to try and get more experience. Speaking for myself, I tried quite a few different roles in my early 20s. I worked as a volunteer teacher in Thailand, a researcher on social entrepreneurship at the University of Liverpool, worked as an intern at the Leadership Development Department in DNV, a brand marketing intern in Yara, and then at Hired and the Rystad Energy. At each step, I tried to ask myself what energized me, what drained me. While working on marketing campaigns at Hired, I realized that I actually liked the analytics side of marketing more than content creation. So that inspired me to look for roles that combining system thinking, combining communication skills and analytics. So eventually I end up doing operations, which is something that I'm truly passionate about. So looking back, I would say it's not about finding the one job. You can't get it right at the first time, oftentimes the case. It's about trying different things, reflecting on what felt right and adjusting it so we can move closer to what we really love doing. And then the next point is that think about your career as a portfolio. It's not a linear path. So you don't need to tick every box. You don't need to be super careful to contemplate where should I start, because every step has its meaning, and you should try to think long term. Certain things you don't really see immediate reward, but it helps you to build your skills. It helps you to go beyond your comfort zones, like what Aray and Gustav mentioned. And it also helps you to kind of be more comfortable with cross-cultural communications, with collaborations. So that's how your portfolio becomes valuable. And I would say each experience adds a new lens and also give you a bit more clarity in terms of where your career ambition is. And lastly, to progress over perfection. So you don't need to get everything right from the get-go. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So pick the next step that help you grow, even though you're not 100% sure. Have the spirit of just do it. Most of the best career moves that I made were actually stepping into roles that kind of stretched myself. And later on, you will find that you actually grow and develop in a better way than you expected. It's also totally fine to make some mistakes. Actually, one advantage I would say of being young is that you can afford to take some lessons, to have some learnings, which honestly I'm quite jealous about. So in a nutshell, be confident, make the move, and then you will see where you can get. Oftentimes, also a surprise to yourself, probably. You are more capable than what you think you are. And then come to the second question, as Gustav asked, from classroom to career. I listed a few points here. That's also my reflection after being working for quite so many years. So first point I want to share with you is that in real life, problems are oftentimes not defined. So in school, we often get a nicely structured case study telling you what is the problem, give you enough information to diagnose the problem, and then even provide some hints for you to solve the problem. At work, most problems are ambiguous. So actually no one give you a clear question, but you oftentimes tasked to do something. So speak for myself, sometimes my manager will say, you should look into improving sales performance. It's quite a broad topic, but how should I start? Where should I look into? We should always start with asking the why, identify the actual needs, and evaluating the pains, the gains that influence different stakeholders. So it becomes a bit of an investigation and figuring out the solution along the way. It's oftentimes an iterative process, oftentimes involve a lot of perspectives, a lot of collaborations with different parties. Second point is that don't reinvent the wheel. At work, you don't always need to build something from scratch. I know in school, we trying very hard to avoid plagiarizing, and everybody want to present original thoughts. At workplace, I would say a smart professional will know where to use what's already out there that have been tested and verified as a successful solution. So feel free to utilize a template, a framework, or a good practice from another team for your own work. The point is we want to be efficient and we want to focus on getting the best outcome possible. So it's not a shame to borrow and adapt. That's what I would say a big difference comparing workplace to school. And next, see challenges as opportunities. So don't be afraid of or even be discouraged by challenges because they are not burdens. They see them positively as opportunities. Every time when I have to take a complex project or something that no one wanted to touch, like hot potatoes, it is painful when I have to do this kind of, to solve this kind of difficult tasks, but actually open up opportunities and also give me more trust, more visibility, and more responsibilities. So don't be afraid of taking the challenges. It's also a great opportunity for you to grow and to gain new perspectives, also to kind of test your capability because you are full of potential. Next point is to apply this 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. So I guess we all can relate to that. In school, you strive for excellence. You want to solve everything as thorough, as perfect as possible. At work, oftentimes you need to prioritize what matters the most. So use this 80-20 rule, 20% of your effort produce 80% of the results, and the remaining 20% will oftentimes require you a more significant amount of effort involved in it. So focus on the few things that drive most of the result. Again, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, and don't be too attached to the idea of perfection. That's kind of how we prioritize tasks and improve efficiency. And last point, work is an endless game, not like in school, you take an exam and you're done, you have vacation, and you can leave it behind. At work, no one gives you grades at work, and there's no finish line. So kind of have to motivate yourself to stay curious, try to upskill, also allude to what Aray shared with you, to kind of keep developing yourself. We try to adopt a growing mindset rather than to perform in a certain period of time. So it's more a long-term perspective. And as you will soon embark on this exciting journey, as you are at this transition point, I wish you all the best with your career development. I hope all of you can find the job that you like. That's a few words from me, a few sharing. I hope you all find it useful. And again, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Juan. Also very relevant and good perspectives, I think, and hope for everybody who's listening. And I think the thought of thinking about your experience as a portfolio and thinking about long term is a really good one, especially if you don't kind of, as we said, don't know exactly what to do. Myself, I've used the word building blocks. What are relevant, if you think 10, 15 years ahead, where roughly would I like to be? Where I think would I like to be part of a management team? I would like to be, a consultant within a certain area, or at least some kind of direction. And then what are relevant building blocks to get there? And what are the quality of the different building blocks? Would it give my international perspective? Would it kind of give me some quality within a certain specific topic? Is it an interesting brand name in the company where I'm working, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a really good way of thinking. And it also takes down the pressure a little bit in terms of, that we need to find the dream job, because you hear this all the time that, it's the right job. It needs to be, it's not work, it's fun, all that kind of thing, which is very hard to know before you start working somewhere. But if you think about it as a portfolio, it gives you some more time and freedom, I think. So we also have a couple of questions. So I think we have time for a short Q&A here also. So the first one, we can take the first one from Lydia. And because she also wrote that it was from to Aray. So she asked if you have any tips on how to find global programs, scholarships, and virtual exchanges.
Thank you for the question, Rydia. There are various platforms that actually have lots of opportunities, and the one that I would like to highlight that I use myself even up until now, because there are so many opportunities for youth, and especially the age of 18 to 30, there are many opportunities that come specifically to young generation. And that is called opportunities4youth.com. That's a website, and they also have a really nicely put LinkedIn page, which I believe once you access, and there are so many on a daily basis, I would even say on an hourly basis, and you can explore so much to yourself. And that's very global. They have lots of opportunities and programs and fellowships and various kind of big exchange, including some virtual options as well. So I would say from my sort of perspective, this one is the most effective because it really combines pretty much the whole world. So opportunitiesforyouth.com.
Very good. Thank you, Aray. And then I thought then Paula has also written a question for us, and that is, what tips would you give to foreigners looking for jobs in an exchange country? I believe it's really hard to find work, as they tend to give preference to their own citizens. Maybe I'll ask Juan this question then.
Yeah. Thanks for your question, Paula. I think it's quite relevant, as a lot of international students would have this concern. Hired platform, for example, is a good place to start with finding internships and potential career opportunities or voluntary opportunities, or you can reach out to the exchange countries career service, your school's career service department, or look for opportunities within startups. Usually they would offer some positions that doesn't require citizenship. So good luck with your job hunt.
Yeah, and to play a little bit on that, I think at least there are also some, if you look for large industrial companies who are international in nature, I think that is something that helps. So it requires some work to do that kind of screening. But if you look through and look at kind of, okay, where do they have a truly international business, where they have real assets or larger offices in other countries, and then where you're studying, this often also comes with some more of international understanding and also international systems and setup internally. So they also are able to handle students, internships, and other things, because it might be at least unexplored territory for them. So that's kind of one tip also in terms of where you should look. And I think the thought about startups is good as well, where you often have startup hubs, which is gathered in specific buildings or parts of the city, or there are also digital communities, of course. But I think, in my experience, it's actually even better to go physically somewhere when it comes to startups. Yeah, but with that, We are a couple of minutes over time, but we had some extra time now for this first session as such. So I would again like to say thank you to Aray and Huan for joining us in this first session, as from some very nice perspectives and practical tips. I hope that our audience today appreciate and can use. And then we would just like to wish you a great day ahead with all the webinars. Check out the positions and chat with the recruiters at the live booths. So thank you, and have a continued great day.
Thank you so much.